One of Xbox's most iconic games is being delisted. Here's what you can do about it. What's up, y'all? I'm Ray, and this is my channel, Xbox Ready, where we talk about Xbox stuff. That's right, the latest news, the latest rumors, pretty much anything I want to talk about as long as it's related to Xbox. And today we're going to be talking about something that has Xbox fans both upset and frustrated. Again. You see, there's been a lot of anxiety these past couple of years as Xbox leans more into digital gaming. We've seen a few Xbox first-party titles release exclusively digitally like Hi-Fi Rush, Hellblade II, and people have been discovering that even if they buy a disc copy of a game, sometimes there's nothing on it. It's just like a key that gives you permission to download the game from the internet. And of course, it's no secret that Xbox is putting more and more emphasis on Game Pass. And not only does that also fall into digital gaming, but people will be very quick to point out that any game that you play through Game Pass you don't actually own. Technically, you are renting it. That's not really a huge issue for me personally. I own most of my games digitally. And when it comes to Game Pass, I don't really think about it as, oh, I don't own these games. I think about it like, oh, I have access to a ton of games, more games than I've ever had access to in my life. I think about it like growing up, I got maybe like 2-3 new games a year. I'd get one for my birthday, one for Christmas, and then maybe an extra 1 or 2 through money I saved up on my own. And that was back when games were like $40-50. Fast forward to now, and I am lucky enough to be in a position where I can buy games however I want, and I also have access to thousands more through Game Pass, PS Plus. That being said, I will admit I do like having the option to buy a physical game disc, especially when I'm looking for a deal, trying to get a used copy. I get people have mixed feelings about it though, and many people will also say that digital-only games, especially ones that require a constant online connection, well, the publishers, the studio, they could pull the rug out from under you at any point. They could pull the plug on the servers and poof, the game is gone forever. Like the original Crew Motorfest, when the next game came out, they were like, we're shutting down the first game, you won't be able to play it anymore, and people were like, what the hell, man? Same thing with OG Overwatch when they rolled out Overwatch 2. Blizzard was like, ooh, sorry, you can't play classic Overwatch anymore, you gotta play Overwatch 2, sorry. Then you got a game like Crossfire X where not only was the multiplayer shut down, you can't play it anymore, but that also applies to the campaigns as well. Well, something sort of similar is happening to a beloved Xbox first-party game, specifically Forza Horizon 4. Xbox announced that Forza Horizon 4 and its DLC is going to be delisted from the Xbox storefront starting in December, and it's also going to be removed from Game Pass, meaning that you have 6 months to either buy this game digitally or buy a disc version of it before it disappears off the Xbox store. Now, I know they have Forza Horizon 5 out there, sure, so people can just jump from the 4th to the 5th game if they want to keep playing the most up-to-date version of whatever Playground Games is putting out. But FH4 is also one of the top played titles on the Game Pass library, so it'll still be a pretty big loss in terms of their catalog of offerings for Game Pass and also how people engage in it. Now, for those of you who've been following me for a while now, y'all know how I kind of feel about the Forza franchise, whether it's Horizon, whether it's Motorsport, whether it's any game involving racing or a car. And it's simply like, those games aren't really my thing. I've tried, and I actually played a decent amount of Forza Horizon 5. But I am by no means an expert when it comes to either the Forza Horizon franchise or anything having to do with this. I was really hoping that me and Jimmy would be able to get together like we did last week to do like a 2-host video, but he is out of town, so he wasn't able to make it. But I still wanted to get his opinions on this whole situation because he really likes Forza Horizon as a franchise, and he is very passionate about game preservation and physical gaming. But even though he couldn't join me for a live-ish conversation, I was still able to get some of his thoughts on the matter.
I have to point out Xbox again. I'm sorry. I know the people who watch Xbox Ready, you came over here, hate when I shit on Xbox, but like they have a division at Xbox called game preservation, right? Like they have a bunch of people who are apparently their job is game preservation, and in my opinion, they all deserve to be fired because when you look at what Xbox does, there's 2 facets of why their game preservation sucks. The first one is with my other favorite racing game, game, Forza Horizon, that every time they release one of these games, it basically has a shelf life from day one, where they license all the cars that they put in the game, from Chevy, from Dodge, from Ferrari, from Lamborghini. They have to pay them a fee to have those cars in the game. When that license expires, instead of doing the right thing for consumers and paying to re-up the license, they say, hey, Forza Horizon 5 is out right now. We don't want to support the people who are playing Forza Horizon 4. So they delist the game from purchase, and the only way to play it from that point forward is to own it in your Xbox account or have a disc copy. And then once that happens, the disc copies obviously skyrocket in price because the game is no longer available to purchase. And this is happening with older generations like PS1, 2, and 3. Go on eBay any day of the week and try to get even a mediocre game, and you'll see the prices are essentially what they cost when the game came out. That's just going to be exasperated if games like Forza Horizon continue to be delisted. That situation sucks. And then on the other hand, these game preservation purists who want to make sure you can play every Xbox game in the world whenever you want are completely shutting down the Xbox 360 digital store. So the only way to play these games going forward, if you picked up an Xbox Series X like tomorrow or the day after the store shuts down, would be to own the game digitally, or of course to own it on disc. And if you don't own it on disc, you gotta go on eBay, and because these games are no longer available to purchase from Microsoft, the prices are gonna be inflated astronomically. And that situation sucks, but it's gonna be even worse if there's no way to buy a game on disc and the only way is to buy the game digitally. When the game is delisted, if you missed out, there's virtually no opportunity to buy the game again. You don't even get this shitty one we have now where you can buy the game on disc for the cost of it new, even though it's over a decade old, right? Like, yeah, it's a crappy situation to have to do that, but I'd like to at least have the option versus a game getting delisted from a digital store and not owning it and then not ever being able to buy it again.
Now, Jim, I mean, I guess this is to be expected, but he is pretty upset about this whole situation. And I'm not saying that anything that he's saying won't come true. You know, the driving up of the prices of the physical discs, and yes, it sucks that it's being delisted digitally. Sure, yes, all of that is true. And maybe this is just because of my overall feelings about racing games in general, but I don't think this is as big of a deal as some people are making it out to be. Unlike those other titles I was talking about earlier, Crossfire X, OG Overwatch, you'll still be able to play Forza Horizon 4. They just won't be doing seasons anymore, it won't be updated, there won't be like new seasonal cars, but you'll still be able to play the game. Now, I know Jimmy was saying that this is something that Forza Horizon fans are pretty familiar with at this point. It happened with the first 3 games, it's happening with 4. But with that being said, it would be really cool if Xbox stepped in and changed a couple of things for when they eventually decide, hey, we're not going to be paying the licensing for these cars anymore. They should absolutely implement a transferable garage. So you could take all the cool cars that you earned in Forza Horizon 4 and put them in your garage in Forza Horizon 5. Also, I was talking to some other people, and apparently the seasonal cars are still going to be obtainable, so you're not really losing anything. And there's also going to be a new currency that you can spend on limited edition cars. So is it ideal that this game is being delisted, removed from Game Pass? No, but I'm not sounding the alarm just yet. Jim is also kind of referring to this thing that we saw on Twitter from Matt Piscatella. We've talked about it on the channel before. He recently came up because he was like, oh, subscription services don't really generate a lot of money when it comes to gaming. What's Xbox gonna do? Blah, blah, blah. And now he's back theorizing that Xbox is for sure gonna go all digital with their next console, and PlayStation and Nintendo are soon gonna follow after that. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, this is something that fans are very, very worried that Xbox will actually do. They just released the all-digital Xbox. They apparently shut down their physical games division. Certain retailers apparently don't carry physical Xbox games anymore, on top of a bunch of other stuff that's leading people to believe that they're gonna ditch the disc drive. Now, at one point in time, I will admit, I'm like, you know, all digital future doesn't really bother me because, again, 90% of my games are digital, but especially if you're Xbox, I really don't think that you should ditch the disc drive. They're positioning themselves as, oh, we want you to be able to play your games how you want to play, on the cloud, through Game Pass, on your console, on your tablet, on your phone. They're trying really hard to make themselves look like the platform that's all about options. And if you were to take away an option, playing my games physically versus digitally, well, that kind of messes up the whole thing. FH4 is not the only Xbox first-party title in trouble though, no. Hellblade II is having a rough time in the news cycle as well. GameIndustry.biz the other day released video game sales data for last month, and it's not looking great. No matter what game you were trying to sell in the month of May, apparently it just wasn't happening over in Europe. And Ninja Theory's Hellblade 2, the first Xbox exclusive that we have gotten since Forza Motorsport back in November, failed to crack even the top 100 bought games. And of course, people are using like mega harsh language, writing up articles about this, doing videos about it. Dreadful sales for Ninja Theory's Hellblade 2. Ninja Theory is fucked. They're gonna push Xbox to do the unthinkable. Unthinkable like what? Like take the actress for frickin' Senua and like dump her in the ocean or something? You even got some people responding in defense of Ninja Theory and also trying to discredit them of like, oh, it's because Hellblade 2 is on Game Pass. How can you expect a game to sell when it's on Game Pass? Game Pass sucks. You would think that the way some people talk about Game Pass, that they like, I don't know, like slap their mom across the face, kick their dog. But as some people are already pointing out, even if a game releases day one on Game Pass, it'll still chart sales-wise. Now, would it have been cool if Hellblade 2 came out, sold a bunch of copies, was universally loved? Sure, yeah, of course. But that is not the case. And my take on the whole thing is, well, Hellblade 2 was never really meant to sell a ton of copies. When I look at Xbox first party, their roadmap, Hellblade 2, especially as someone who is familiar with that first game, was supposed to be like a cool little side project that you could play in between these other major first party Xbox games. Ninja Theory's whole thing is making indie games that kind of look and have the feel of AAA ones visually. And that's just not the type of project that I personally was expecting to sell gangbusters. That's exactly what Hellblade 1 was, that's exactly what the second Hellblade was. But of course, that's not what happened, right? Hellblade 2 was carrying a ton of expectations because it was the first party game that we got from Xbox since November. It's been like 6-7 months. And when you have a drought like that, well, the spotlight is gonna shine way brighter than would if they were like, oh, you know what, we'll put out Avowed before we have Hellblade, or we'll put out a Gears game like right after that. Like a 6-hour game, no matter how you cut it, is not supposed to be the main course. It's supposed to be like a dessert or like an appetizer. But Xbox has failed to stick to their schedule. They fail to ship these games one game every quarter, and this is what they get. And because of Hellblade 2's poor sales, people are saying, oh no, Xbox, they're gonna do them like Tango Gameworks, they're gonna close down Ninja Theory. I don't know if that's gonna happen for sure. We know that they've apparently greenlit Ninja Theory's next game. I don't know if that's another Senua game or something entirely different. But the elephant in the room is that, well, the Hellblade 2 budget, I imagine, was pretty big. And I'm sure someone at Microsoft, someone at Xbox is looking at that and looking at how Hellblade 2 is performing sales-wise and being received by the critics and wondering, questioning if it was worth it. I don't want to see Ninja Theory be shut down. Preferably, Xbox would just step in and say, hey, you know what? We gave you the blank check last time, let you do whatever you wanted, but now you're gonna do what we want. And listen, we like Senua, we like the world, so here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna make Hellblade 3, you're gonna make an open world, you're gonna make it more combat oriented, you're gonna put like RPG elements into it, make it kind of like God of War, I guess, but don't call it God of War. This has kind of nothing to do with what we were talking about, but I saw this article on Pure Xbox saying that a bunch of people are confused that they're getting messages that are basically like Temu spam. And honestly, I thought it was just me because I've been getting a lot of these messages like, oh, you have a free gift card to Temu, $15, use this code, blah, 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 blah. And it's crazy that so many other people are experiencing the same thing. Xbox definitely needs to get a handle on this. I've been getting Temu spam and I've been getting a lot of messages saying, hey, it looks like your Fortnite account would probably be worth a lot. You should sell it to us for blah, blah, blah. And that's hilarious because I've played Fortnite maybe like a half dozen times, maybe. I'm the guy that logs on when I see there's a skin that I think is really cool, and then I play for like 1 or 2 matches and then hop off, disappear for like 3 months. There's not much we can do about it, I guess. I've just been reporting the messages as they come. But hopefully Xbox gets a handle on this because I don't want to turn my notifications off. I still want to see when when y'all message me, but I don't want to get a bunch of notifications and alerts because like some bot is trying to freaking scam me by luring me onto Temu. Anyways, guys, that's all the Xbox stuff I have to talk about today. Thanks so much for joining me for another edition of Xbox Ready, and we'll see you in the next video.